What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a full review and test drive of this absolutely beautiful 2022 Audi RS7. I just want to give a huge thank you and shout out again to the team at Rover of Alexandria, especially Gio, for allowing me to film this beautiful RS7 here today. It is for sale and I'll have all their contact information in the description box below. But this is going to be a full review and test drive of this beautiful RS7. Like I said, I've actually never had the opportunity to drive a C8 generation RS7, so I'm very excited to do so. This is one of my favorite daily driver supercars, if you will, with this gorgeous fastback styling, twin turbo V8 and all-wheel drive. It really just has the overall complete package. Up front, you can see Audi's single frame design grille. It is longer and wider compared to the C7 previous generation. Obviously for the RS, it is finished in piano black. I'm not sure how I feel about that little split element there that kind of joins the hood and the bumper. Audi Sport has been doing that for a few years now, and I kind of wish it was kind of one panel, if you will. But nonetheless, this car also has full LED headlights and taillights with sequential motion as well. This one also has the carbon optics package for $7 grand, so it gives you that kind of extended front splitter right there. The carbon elements in the side of the bumper, carbon wing mirrors, carbon side skirts, and actually a carbon lip spoiler. These wheels also come with that carbon optics package. They are a gorgeous 22-inch Y-spoke design. They're wrapped in a 285 size tire all the way around. And at the front, you can see these absolutely massive 10-piston RS style calipers. I do believe that carbon ceramics are an option, and this car comes standard with air suspension, I believe. And as we continue along, I've always preferred the shape of the RS7 compared to the RS6. Something about this four-door fastback roofline really sets the whole car off, even though the RS6 is also a beautiful car. Like I said, at the rear wheels, you have the same gorgeous 22-inch design wrapped in a 285 tire. You also have a single piston RS caliper back there. At the rear, you also have this gorgeous LED light bar, again with that sequential turn signals that I mentioned before. The carbon lip spoiler, again, part of the carbon optics package. I love the RS style oval exhaust pipes that are obviously present on this car, as well as the carbon fiber kind of upper element right there that's part of the optics package. This also has a deployable rear spoiler, I believe, which goes up around 70 miles an hour. And like I said, because this is the four-door coupe version, it has this hatchback that raises up automatically. And you have around 24.6 cubic feet of total storage back here, which is a lot more than maybe the CT5V Blackwing, just due to this overall design. The rear seats also fold down as well to fit even larger items. Let's go ahead and hop in the RS7, but before we do so, I'll show you guys the key. This is Audi's kind of RS newer design key. You have lock, trunk release, the unlock, the Audi logo, and I believe there is an RS badge here at the back, just blocked by this sticker. This car obviously also has smart key access. Right now it's unlocked. You could just press this little portion on the door handle to lock, and the mirrors will fold, and grab the back of the handle to unlock it. And as we take a look inside, this is one of the last great Audi interiors, in my opinion. This one is optioned with the executive package, so you get the extended leather all on the dashboard as well as in the center console. You also get the heated rear seats, the head-up display, and the soft closing doors. That's about a $2,000 option package. You also have gorgeous Alcantara suede trim, carbon fiber on the door panel. Two-person memory here for the front driver's seat. You also have the aluminum RS7 kick plates right there and the aluminum sport pedals. For the RS7, obviously, you get these gorgeous bucket seats with this kind of quilted pattern in the middle, RS logo embossed in the backrest. They are heated, ventilated, and massaging, I believe. But let's go ahead and hop in and fire this beast up. We'll go ahead and step down into this car. It is a low, kind of slung four-door coupe, so you do want to watch your head on this A-pillar right here. But in order to fire it up, all you have to do is put your foot on the brake and hit the button right here to put it in accessory mode. We'll go ahead and put it in RS mode. I think that might open up the valve in the exhaust. Hit the button one more time to fire it up completely. Under the hood of this beast is Audi and Volkswagen Group's now famous 4-liter twin-turbo mild hybrid V8. In the base, quote-unquote, RS7, it makes 590 horsepower and around 590 foot-pounds of torque. It's connected to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission and obviously Audi's Quattro all-wheel drive system. 0 to 60 is rated as low as 3.5 seconds, and top speed is electronically limited to around 174 miles an hour. Fuel economy, if you care, is 15 in the city, 22 on the highway for around 17 combined. And curb weight is 4,900 pounds, which makes this a relatively light car in this class, especially compared to the new M5 with all of its plug-in hybrid stuff. The only car I think that's lighter than this is the CT5V Blackwing. If you guys are familiar, there is a upgraded trim of the RS7 called the Performance that was recently unveiled. It has 630 horsepower due to increased boost pressure, but even with only 590 horsepower in this car, it is more than enough. And hats off to Audi for keeping this V8 around for as long as they have. I know the next generation RS6 and RS7 will probably get that new twin turbo hybrid V6, but you know, hats off again to Audi for keeping this relatively old school formula around for as long as they can. Let's go ahead and rev this beast up. And if I forgot to mention, this car also has the $1,000 Sport exhaust. There is a rev limiter around 3,000 RPM in park, but you can definitely still hear some pops and bangs and rumble from that V8. Directly in front of you is this gorgeous 3-spoke flat bottom RS style steering wheel with this gorgeous Alcantara trim. You also have the piano black RS trim here at the bottom. You do have these kind of aluminum-ish feeling paddle shifters. I'm not sure if they're real. They feel a little plasticky, but nonetheless, they are a little bit cold to the touch. You have some of the controls here to go through the Audi 12.3-inch virtual cockpit display. This is one of the last and best iterations of this. You can cycle through a couple of the different menus right here and hit this View Max button to bring, you know, that up in the full screen. I love having the full screen map itself in here. You can also change the virtual cockpit design. So right now, it's in the RS Sport, but you can have the RS Performance, for example. So again, just a lot of great customization in here. This is actually my favorite, the RS Runway that we saw earlier. So you can have, you know, anything you want in this gauge cluster. It's really some of the best in the business. You also have some controls on the right side of the wheel for the Bluetooth and hands-free, and a nice dedicated volume scroll wheel. This is the dedicated RS mode where you put the car in its most aggressive setting, very similar to you know, BMW M with its M1 and M2 buttons on the steering wheel. Gorgeous rest of the interior as well. Like I said, this has the executive package for $2,500, so it gives you all of the extended leather. You also have the heads-up display right there. It'll show some speed information as well as traffic if you'd like. And continuing down, this is the Audi, I believe it's a 10.5-inch display. It is not their latest and greatest, but it is one of their best, in my opinion. You have everything you need and nothing that you don't. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have a little bit of haptic feedback. Maybe you guys can hear as you cycle through the menu right here. Again, one of their best, in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of how this is sort of like buried in this huge piano black trim. Right now, it's really beautiful because it's freshly clean, but I've seen plenty of these with a ton of dust and fingerprints on it. And underneath the infotainment, you have the secondary screen for all of the climate functions. Again, a lot of people complained about this when it debuted, but I think it is very intuitive and easy to use. You can see the fan speed right here in the center. You can kind of use the scroll wheels if you'd like to set the temperature, heated and ventilated seat controls. You also have some buttons at the top for some vehicle functions like the auto start stop, the garage home link to raise and lower the rear spoiler, and to power off the display. You also have a couple other rocker buttons right here, or haptic feedback buttons, I should say. So you can go through the various drive modes right here with this selector for the comfort. You can go down into auto as well as dynamic. You can also set up the RS1 and RS2 buttons for your liking when you press the button on the actual steering wheel. This aluminum button right here brings up the parking sensors. If you go ahead and press that, you can see you have a full top-down 360. And if we go ahead and actually just press it or put it into reverse, you can see the live trajectory for the rear view camera. One of these other features that I like on these Audis, you can do the 3D mode and have a full kind of top-down 360 bird's eye view of the entire car. Really some of the best in the business again. You have the engine start-stop button right here, and you have the button to bring up the Audi driving assistance suite right here. So you can set that up to how, you know, invasive, I guess you'd like it to be. Again, another dedicated volume wheel, which is great. It's not buried in the infotainment or a touchscreen or anything. Again, with that 8-speed auto, you have the controller right here. Just drop it down into drive and you're ready to go. You can also kick it into manual and use the paddles on the back of the steering wheel. Again, reverse, like I showed you guys, is all the way up and it brings up that gorgeous 360 camera. Park is just this little button here. You have some cup holders right here, a 12-volt socket, and I actually got the key back out of my pocket. You can see there's a dedicated slot for it right there in the center console. So Audi really was thinking of everything when they designed this interior. Electronic parking brake right here, pretty self-explanatory. We open up the center console, you can see a wireless charging pad and 2 USB charging outlets. Up above you, you have the frameless rear view mirror right here and the controls for just the half sunroof right here. There's no pano roof available on this car. I don't think the roofline would maybe allow that, but the headliner is finished in this gorgeous Dynamica, I believe is what Audi calls it, for around $2,200. It's kind of this Alcantara suede. This car also has the driver assistance package for $3,300, if I failed to mention that before, which gives you some of the options down here in the safety suite. It also gives you the blind spot in the mirrors as well as the adaptive cruise control. If you go ahead and hop in the rear seat of the RS7 quickly, you can see that the roofline obviously intrudes upon the headroom a little bit. It's not as practical as maybe the RS6 wagon, but obviously the interior quality carries over back here with all of the gorgeous leather, carbon, and Alcantara. If we take a quick step inside, I'll show you guys that I did have to move the driver's seat up just a little bit to give me a little bit of room, but this is still a relatively standard driving position. I have a couple inches between me and the back of the seat, but my head is hitting the ceiling. You can see some quad zone climate functions back here for some temperature and fan speed, as well as a 12-volt socket. You also have some cup holders here in the center console. One of the other features that I believe comes standard on these newer generation RS6 and RS7 is four-wheel steering. So we'll go ahead and put the car into drive here, put the parking brake down and move forward about 2 to 3 feet and actually just turn the wheel, you know, more aggressive than you maybe would, but put it back into park, put the parking brake back on, and I'll show you guys how aggressive of an angle this rear wheel actually goes, especially, you know, compared to the front. You can see the fronts are pretty turned like I showed you guys, but look how crazy that rear wheel is turned right there. You don't really notice it until you're driving along and you're like, wow, this thing is actually really maneuverable for something this big. So a great piece of technology there. But with that being said, let's go ahead and set the cameras up and take this beautiful car for a quick test drive. All right, guys, welcome inside the C8 generation RS7, and this is just an amazing place to be. It's one of my favorite daily drivers. It just feels like so at the peak of Audi in terms of their, you know, design, their engine, handling, everything like that. I just really feel like they hit the nail on the head with this platform. I'm interested to see where they take it for the C9 generation. There's been some spy tests and, you know, mules running around that kind of sound like the twin turbo V6 from the new RS5. So unfortunately, we might be losing the V8 in this newest generation RS7. So if you guys are interested, I'd say definitely, you know, get one of them while you still get one of these while you still can. Some other things I'm noticing as we're kind of going along in traffic is that this thing is very livable. It is very quiet on the inside. We're in comfort mode right now, so we're not doing anything crazy, but even so, you know, you just have the faintest rumble of that V8 in front of you. The exhaust is not overbearing or anything like that. It's just an incredible package for, you know, daily driving. And as we move along, throttle response is actually very responsive. You know, we're not doing anything crazy, but, you know, the tip in is very nice and progressive. It's not, you know, too, you know, have a dead pedal at the top, which is something that I actually complained about in my old B9 S5. I always thought that the throttle tip in was just a little too numb for my liking. For some reason, the RS7 here with the V8 seems to have rectified that. The brakes also feel really great on this car. You can tell that this is definitely a heavy car, you know, 5,000 pounds, but it's not as heavy as the new M5, and it's definitely, you know, one of the lighter ones in the class. The only one that I think has better brakes is the CT5V Blackwing. I raved about that, and both of them that I reviewed, they just feel like they have such a great tip-in point. These are very good, but they could definitely have a little bit more bite at the top of the pedal. One of the things I'm not a huge fan of in these cars is that you have to manually disable the auto start stop every time. It happens in my brother's A6, it happened in my S5. There's ways to code it out and stuff like that where it remembers, but I kind of just wish it would remember what position it was in, because even with the 48-volt mild hybrid system in this car, you could definitely feel that, you know, there's some lurchiness and stuff when it does its auto start stop. It's more seamless than, you know, a traditional starter motor in some cars, but even still, I would just turn it off, you know, completely. And while we're sitting at this stoplight here, I'll go ahead and put it into park and actually open up the exhaust a little bit. Maybe you guys can hear. There's that rev limiter around 3,000 RPM in park, but it gives a little bit of an illustration that you can definitely hear the exhaust when it, you know, opens up a little bit. If we get up to speed a little bit here, yeah, this thing almost like lurches forward when you give it gas. You could tell that this thing, like I was saying, is just ready to go. The throttle response got even sharper in the RS mode here, so there's no, you know, throttle delay or anything like that. The steering also got very heavy. I think this has electronic power steering, so it, you know, maybe lacks some feel, is what all the journalists like to say, but honestly, for like daily driving and stuff like that, you're just concerned about how heavy it is, and it has a nice weight to it here. One of the other things I love on this car, maybe you can see it on the Tundra in front of us, is how aggressive it is. You can see the LED headlights, or the daytime running lights, create a beautiful silhouette. It's really a gorgeous overall design for this car. That little part at the front that I complained about with that little, you know, hole or, you know, gap or whatever for the hood has really grown on me in the last 10 minutes or so. So I think that this is just an overall, you know, 9.5, 10 out of 10 design car. Let's see if we can maybe hear some of the exhaust in the tunnel here. Hopefully you guys can hear. It's not the loudest thing in the world. This does still have, you know, the $1,000 sport exhaust. I do just love driving this thing. I'm a huge Audi fan. As you guys know, I've had quite a few of them on the channel. And for some reason, this thing just, I don't know, it's just the culmination of when Audi is at its best. You know, I think this is a much more compelling package than the new M5 and, you know, the M3, I guess, which is a category below, but still, I don't know, something like this is amazing. I think this and the CT5V Blackwing are the two, you know, high-performance sports sedans that really, you know, make an impact in this segment. One of the drawbacks, though, that I'm noticing is that there are a couple squeaks and rattles. I had the same problem in my B9 S5. I don't know if this is just something that plagues this generation of Audis in the 2020s, but for some reason, there's a little bit of rattles and stuff coming from the sunroof and this door panel right here. It definitely feels a lot more solid than my B9 did. I had rattles, you know, in the dashboard and stuff like that, but unfortunately, you can tell with these pillarless windows and stuff like that, that there are maybe a couple things a little bit looser than they should be. So guys, in conclusion, I would still say that the RS7 is an incredible product overall. Again, this is when Audi is at its absolute peak. I'm very interested to see how the new, you know, RS6 and RS7 compare to this, and even the new RS5 with the new hybrid technology. But this is the last sort of swan song, if you will, of an old school twin turbo V8 with just a mild hybrid system for auto start stop. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the full review and test drive of this gorgeous 2022 Audi RS7. Like I said, huge thank you and shout out again to the team at Land Rover of Alexandria, especially Gio. I'll have all their contact information in the description box below. And if you did enjoy, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe for a ton of great content coming very soon. And I'll catch you in the next one.